When we talk about the greatest scorers in NBA history, the conversation gets complicated. The game has evolved so much, rule changes, pace differences, and new styles of offense have changed how we evaluate greatness. But there's one question that always sparks debate. Who's the most unguardable player of all time? To answer that, we're going to break down the games of four offensive juggernauts, players who made defenders look helpless and forced entire defenses to adjust just to slow them down. And it only makes sense to start with the one who set the gold standard for scoring dominance: Michael Jordan. Jordan entered the league in 1984, and from day one, he looked different. He was faster, more explosive, and more confident than anyone the NBA had ever seen. But what truly separated him was his ability to score at will, especially when it mattered most. Through 13 seasons with the Chicago Bulls, MJ averaged 31.5 points per game. Even when you include the 2 years he played with the Wizards in his late 30s, he still holds the highest career scoring average in NBA history at 30.1 points per game. Sure, critics might say Jordan had the green light to shoot more than anyone. He took about 23 shots per game in his career, slightly more than even Wilt Chamberlain. But the key is efficiency. Jordan shot over 50% from the field during his Bulls years. And because he drew so many fouls, his high free throw percentage made him even deadlier. What's even more impressive, only 7% of his shots were three-pointers. He wasn't out there spamming deep shots like today's stars. Jordan relied on footwork, post moves, a lethal mid-range game, and pure athleticism to get buckets, and still maintained elite efficiency on high volume. But where Jordan really separated himself was in the playoffs. Take the 1993 NBA Finals, for example. Against the Phoenix Suns, MJ averaged 41 points, 8.5 assists, and 6.3 rebounds. Across his 179 playoff games, he scored 33.4 points per game, the highest in NBA history. And we all remember the clutch shots, especially that shot over Byron Russell to seal his sixth title. Jordan didn't need the three-point line to dominate. His scoring came from attacking the rim, post-ups, fadeaways, and mid-range jumpers. He split double teams, embarrassed defenders one-on-one, and elevated his game in high-pressure moments. You couldn't speed him up. You couldn't slow him down. You just had to hope he missed. Studio microphone, section close. Michael Jordan didn't just change the game. He created the blueprint for unguardable offense. But how does he stack up against the legends who came after him? If Michael Jordan was the original, then Kobe Bryant was the remix, just as deadly, just as intense, and at times even more refined. When we talk about unguardable scorers, it's impossible to ignore the Black Mamba, a player who didn't just mimic greatness. He studied it, mastered it, and added his own flair. From his footwork to his fadeaway, from the fire in his eyes to the way he talked trash, Kobe Bryant was built in Jordan's image, and he carried that legacy into a new era. But Kobe's path wasn't easy. He entered the league straight out of high school in 1996, joining a team with Shaquille O'Neal and championship expectations. It took time to grow into his role, but once he did, especially after Shaq left the Lakers, Kobe turned into a one-man scoring machine. Let's start with the numbers. Kobe scored over 33,000 points in his career, more than MJ. He dropped 81 points on the Raptors in a single game, the second highest mark in NBA history. He once outscored the entire Dallas Mavericks team 62-61 in just 3 quarters. And on the final night of his career at age 37, he scored 60 points, proving that the Mamba mentality doesn't age. But what really sets Kobe apart is how he scored. Unlike Jordan, Kobe played in the slowest-paced era in NBA history. From the late 1990s through the mid-2000s, defenses were tighter, hand-checking was still a factor, and scoring was generally down. So putting up big numbers during that time, as Kobe did, speaks volumes. He took and made more three-pointers than Jordan, though his accuracy remained around the same. His career field goal percentage was under 45%, and he was often criticized for being a volume shooter. His true shooting percentage was around 55%, lower than MJ's 57%, and significantly lower than today's most efficient stars. But here's the thing, Kobe was never just about numbers. He was about mastery. Kobe had perhaps the deepest offensive bag the league has ever seen. Post moves, pivot work, shot fakes, footwork, spins, floaters, step backs. If there was a move, he had it. And if the move was being defended, he had 2 or 3 counters ready. His game was so polished it bordered on artistry. There wasn't a defender alive who could force Kobe into something he wasn't ready for, and that's what made him so dangerous. He didn't rely on athleticism the way Jordan or LeBron did. He relied on technique, timing, and mental toughness. He wanted to take the toughest shot in the biggest moment, and often he made it. But Kobe's greatness wasn't just about scoring. He won 5 championships, 2 of them as the undisputed leader. He won 2 scoring titles, made 18 All-Star teams, and earned 12 All-Defensive selections, proving he was just as committed on the other end of the floor. Still, when we talk about unguardable, the stats do tilt slightly in Jordan's favor. MJ had better efficiency, more scoring titles, and was more consistent in the postseason. But in terms of pure offensive skill, Kobe Bryant may be the most skilled scorer the game has ever seen. And it wasn't just the moves. It was the mindset. Kobe wasn't playing to entertain, he was playing to destroy. When he smelled blood, he went for the kill. Section close. So if Jordan set the standard, Kobe evolved it, adding new layers of creativity and skill. But there's one thing neither of them had: 7 feet of height with guard skills. If Michael Jordan was the fiercest competitor and Kobe Bryant the most skilled technician, then Kevin Durant is something else entirely, a scoring phenomenon that looks like he was created in a lab. The man is a 7-footer with the shooting stroke of a guard, the agility of a small forward, and the offensive patience of a seasoned veteran. When it comes to being unguardable, Durant doesn't just fit the label, he redefines it. Let's start with the obvious. Kevin Durant is 6 feet 10 inches, some say even taller, with a 7 feet 5 inches wingspan. That kind of length would usually belong to a slow, post-heavy big man. But Durant moves like a guard. He dribbles like a guard. He shoots like a guard. And that combination makes him one of the most unfair matchups in NBA history. It's not just that he scores, it's how easy he makes it look. Durant doesn't need a flurry of dribble moves to get open. He doesn't need to bulldoze defenders like LeBron or rely on pump fakes like Kobe. All he needs is a little space, and when you're nearly 7 feet tall, space comes naturally. A simple crossover, a single step back, or a high-release jumper is all it takes. And when you look at the numbers, the efficiency is staggering. Kevin Durant has a career scoring average of 27 points per game, placing him 6th all-time. In the playoffs, that average climbs to 29, trailing only Michael Jordan and a select few. But what really separates him is his true shooting percentage, a remarkable 62%, which is 5% higher than Jordan's and better than Kobe, Harden, and even most big men. And it's not like he's just taking easy shots. KD gets it done from everywhere. Catch and shoot? Automatic. ISO possessions? Lethal. Transition pull-ups? Good luck. Fadeaways? Step backs? Contested threes? That's routine for him. Early in his career with Oklahoma City, Durant was already an elite scorer, winning 4 scoring titles between 2010 and 2014. But OKC's offense often relied on him to create in isolation, surrounded by poor spacing. He was dominant, but not optimized. That changed when he joined the Golden State Warriors. In that system, with shooters like Curry and Klay beside him, Durant had more room than ever. And he used it to full effect. He didn't just thrive, he evolved. His time in Golden State allowed us to see the full range of his offensive game: cutting, moving off the ball, transition attacks, and surgical isolation plays when needed. It was like putting a flamethrower into a fireworks show. And let's not forget the clutch factor. In back-to-back NBA Finals, he drilled dagger threes over LeBron James, sealing his legacy as not just a volume scorer, but a killer in the biggest moments. What's wild is that Durant doesn't even seem to break a sweat doing it. He doesn't play with the same emotional fire as Kobe or the same bulldog intensity as MJ, but don't let that fool you. KD is just as deadly. He doesn't need to beat his chest, he lets his jumper do the talking. And here's the bottom line. Because of his length, touch, balance, efficiency, and versatility, Kevin Durant is maybe the most unguardable offensive player of the modern era. You can send doubles. You can crowd him. You can try to push him off his spots. But none of it really works.
Why?
Because he doesn't take bad shots. Every shot KD takes is a good shot because he can make it from anywhere. Studio microphone, section close. Jordan dominated with willpower. Kobe with skill. But Durant? He dominates with effortless, surgical precision. He's not just hard to guard, he's mathematically impossible to stop. But what if there was a player who took the numbers even further? A player who hacked the system, weaponized analytics, and forced defenses to guard in ways they never had before? If Michael Jordan was the greatest, Kobe Bryant the most skilled, and Kevin Durant the most efficient, then James Harden might be the most analytically optimized scorer in NBA history. He didn't just play the game, he reprogrammed it. Harden found the loopholes, exploited them, and created a scoring style so unique and effective, it forced defenses to evolve, and in many cases, fail. Harden didn't explode onto the scene in Oklahoma City. He was a sixth man, a supporting piece behind Durant and Westbrook. But when he moved to Houston in 2012, everything changed. Given the keys to the offense, and with the help of analytics guru Daryl Morey and offensive innovator Mike D'Antoni, Harden became a basketball experiment turned monster. Let's get straight to the impact. From 2015 to 2020, Harden led the NBA in scoring 3 times, averaged nearly 30 points per game over 8 seasons in Houston, and routinely put up numbers we'd never seen before. 32 straight games, scoring 30-plus points. Multiple 50 and 60-point triple-doubles. And yes, games where he shot 20-plus threes by himself. But what made Harden so unguardable wasn't just volume. It was the precision of his shot selection. The Rockets' offense under Harden boiled down to three things.
1,
Layups.
2, 3,
Three-pointers.
4, 5,
Free throws.
6.
Everything in between? Toss it out. Harden mastered the art of efficiency. His true shooting percentage was an absurd 61%, higher than Jordan, higher than Kobe, even higher than Wilt Chamberlain. And he was doing this on absurd volume, taking more threes and drawing more fouls than anyone else in the league. Now, let's talk about the step-back three. It became Harden's signature and a nightmare for defenders. With his incredible footwork and ball control, he created just enough space to launch a deep shot at full balance. It wasn't just a move, it was a system. If you pressed up too close, he'd drive. If you sagged off, he'd shoot. If you contested well, he'd lean in and draw the foul. Over time, defenders got so desperate, they started guarding him from behind, an insane but real tactic, just to take away his rhythm. But Harden's greatness goes beyond isolation. Despite dominating the ball, he was not a selfish player. In fact, he ranked near the top of the league in assists per game during his Houston tenure. Harden's usage was high, but it was productive. He would collapse defenses, force rotations, and kick it out to shooters or hit the roll man in perfect rhythm. He was the system, and it worked. Still, with all the stats, there's one undeniable critique. The playoffs. Harden's numbers dip when the lights get brighter. His shooting percentages drop, and some of his worst performances came in critical elimination games. While Jordan, Kobe, and Durant often raised their level in the postseason, Harden's game regressed, leading to questions about whether his style could translate to championship basketball. And the truth is, despite all the innovation, Harden has never won a title. He's made deep playoff runs, even pushed the Warriors to 7 games in 2018, but has never gotten over the hump as the lead guy. So, where does that leave us? Harden is arguably the most creative, mathematically efficient scorer the league has ever seen. He took the rules, bent them in his favor, and became a walking analytics experiment. His combination of isolation mastery, shooting range, foul drawing, and playmaking was unlike anything before or since. You may not like watching it. You may hate the flops, the slow tempo, the ball-dominant style. But you can't deny this. James Harden changed the way basketball is played. Studio microphone, final wrap-up. So, after examining Jordan's will, Kobe's skill, Durant's precision, and Harden's innovation, who is the most unguardable NBA player ever? From a pure scoring ability standpoint, the answer might be Kevin Durant, with his height, shooting, and efficiency. But when you factor in mentality, legacy, and playoff dominance, Michael Jordan still sits at the top. But here's the beauty of basketball. Being unguardable isn't one size fits all. It's artistry, it's innovation, it's dominance. And all four of these legends, they brought it in their own, unforgettable way.